Back in Norfolk, Robert Wynne is getting ready for his driving assessment. His 1953 Morris Minor, Elizabeth, is polished and ready for the big day. And now Robert just wants to brush up on his highway code.
Well, this was the highway code that I learned to drive from, and it's very different to the modern highway code. In the old highway code, there is a sentence which is less than helpful, and it just says there are no rights of way in general at roundabouts. Well, that really doesn't help me a great deal in negotiating double and triple roundabouts here and in Wroxham. So times have definitely changed a lot since then.
But before he meets his instructor, Robert wants to get a second opinion on his old-fashioned driving. So he's taking his sister Susan out for a spin, and she's all too familiar with her brother's quirky motoring.
My sister probably would think that I drove a little bit like an old fossil.
Robert is a very deliberate driver. When he's slowing down, he will go through the gears. I'm afraid when I'm slowing down, I take it out of fourth, stick it into neutral and use the handbrake. He tends to be quite a tense driver. You know, people gradually move slightly forward towards the wheel, as they, you know. I would probably say something like, for God's sake, get a move on.
This is always a bit of a wiggle here by the school. These darn teachers park on this bend, and it's not very sensible, to be honest.
Robert might pride himself on being a textbook driver, but Susan can't resist bringing him down a peg.
When you come up to a roundabout,
yes,
right, and you want to go straight across,
yeah,
what do you indicate?
Well, first of all, I indicate to the...
Not to your left or your right, can you?
Well, no, I'm going to just do it.
Yes. I think it's very brave of him to put himself forward to have his driving assessed. I think Robert needs to perhaps just relax a little bit more when he's driving.
But relaxation isn't an option when Robert's behind the wheel, as he quickly attracts a queue of irate drivers behind him who find his speed too slow.
I think there's two things that really worry me, to be honest, and that is, first of all, someone is going to go into the back of me and there's going to be damage and grief over that, but also that they're going to get so impatient that they then try and get past and do something silly.
As soon as one tailgater turns off, another comes up behind.
Now this is interesting because the person behind is driving a little closer than I would have liked. Yes, you feel as if they're in such a flipping hurry to get somewhere, and they want you to be in a hurry as well. Yes.
And once that second tailgater has gone, yet another approaches, going much too fast for Robert's liking.
I mean, I don't know what she expects. Here we are in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, doing 40 miles an hour on a twisty road with potentially heavy traffic coming in the opposite direction. I mean, what does she want me to do, 50? No, she's whizzing down the Norwich Road now. Well, that's fine. She'll be able to do 60 or 80 or whatever she wants. She's out of my hair.
Coming up in part 3, can Robert learn to speed up?
Number 4, and we're just touching 30s.
Can Helen master her parking?
How do you feel you did with that?
Well, I'm out in the middle of the road.
And can Dave convince the instructor he's a safe driver?
Now look at your braking there, because you're already thinking about it. Now stop short of him.
Back in Norfolk, Robert Wynne is getting ready for his driving assessment in his beloved Morris Minor, Elizabeth. Having spoken to Robert in advance, Instructor Howard has a plan to help him deal with the dangers of driving too slowly.
And the big problem he's finding is people tailgating him. Makes him feel pressured, makes him feel a little bit rushed and not safe. He kind of asked me, what can he do, you know, not to feel so uncomfortable in such a dangerous situation.
What we'd like to do is to go out in this car. This is Elizabeth.
Right, lovely.
Robert's instructor has never done an assessment in a classic car before, so he checks her over to make sure she's roadworthy.
Don't think we'll be expecting rain today.
I hope not. The weather forecast is good, yes. I try not to take Elizabeth out in the rain anyway.
So, you've got concerns with people following you too closely.
Yes.
And you're up to the speed limit, and you're just sort of a bit bothered by that. So,
yes, feel a bit pushed along, you know, yeah.
So what we can do, we'll give you some strategies to cope with that and deal with that.
OK, let's go for it.
Okay. Right. End of the road, we're going to turn right, and we're just going to keep heading up there, and I'll give you directions in good time, so you know we're a bit like your driving test.
Yes, which was a long time ago.
Robert is proud of his driving. He likes to think his old-fashioned style makes him one of the better drivers on the road.
And we're just touching 30, so...
But is Robert really as good as he thinks?
Look at the road ahead. What hazards have we got coming along here now?
Well, I would say that there's the possibility of agricultural stuff turning out. Fallen branches in the road surface is not tremendously smooth, and I see we've now got a little junction coming up which looks like a house, fairly obscure drive. Now, the road does
Robert's road awareness is clearly exemplary.
on either side, and a little bit of a twist here where I can't see tremendously well, but that's opening out now.
It seems that Robert misses nothing. Well, almost.
As we just come into that road, we had a warning sign. I don't know, did you ever have a chance to see what that was?
No. Rather naughty.
It was a triangular sign, so obviously a warning sign, with 2 pedestrians on it.
Right.
Do you know what that would be telling you?
No pavement and to be aware of pedestrians possibly in the road.
That's it, yeah, good.
Back in Norfolk, Robert Wynne is planning a day out with his beloved Morris Minor, Elizabeth. But has his assessment made him feel more confident about driving her at his old-fashioned pace?
Yes, I'm very pleased with the way it's turned out, because it has been just exactly what I needed, in the sense of brushing up on things, boosting my confidence. But I'm driving at the speed which I feel comfortable with and which doesn't necessarily impede the progress of others. And that's been a very useful boost for me as well. It's important to keep driving and keep driving as well as you can.